Hi there, my name is Roberta. I'm a biochemist and a regulatory scientist at LabelWise, and today we will look into the essentials, what you need to know when buying omega-3 supplements. At LabelWise, we provide you with trustworthy and science-backed information about supplements, and our mission is to help you to make informed decisions when buying supplements based on quality, safety, and efficacy. There were multiple studies done on the supplements which were bought from the consumer market, and all of them collectively indicate that there is a discrepancy between what's written on the label versus what was actually found after the testing. So in US, multiple agencies joined efforts and they created a calculator based on the data collected from the market, which anyone can access, and you can check the statistical value of the supplement containing EPA and DHA, how much you could actually expect to get from it. And you can find the link to this calculator in the description below. There are three main sources used for the omega-3 supplement production, which are fish, krill, and algae. And each of them differ in the EPA and DHA content, which are the active components you would look in the omega-3 supplements. In terms of bioavailability, also what antioxidants they have, and some other aspects. Now let's get into the types of forms you can find omega-3s in your supplement. So there are four main types and three forms. So types are EPA, DHA, ALA, and DPA. So EPA and DHA being the main ones, the most explored ones, the most studied ones with the very well-defined profiles. ALA is an essential acid, meaning that our bodies are not able to produce it ourselves, and we have to get it from nutrition from sources like chia seeds or walnuts or others. It is considered to be a source for our bodies to produce EPA and DHA from. However, the conversion rate is so low that it would be challenging to rely on it for maintaining the normal EPA DHA levels alone. And the fourth one is DPA, which is an intermediate between EPA and DHA, meaning it can be both converted to the DPA or reverted back to EPA, or it is also considered to be sort of a storage for the DHA in the DHA-savvy organs, like brain. As mentioned, we have three forms in which our omega-3s are in the supplements. So the first one is ethyl esters, which is considered to be quite a cheap option. It also has the lowest absorption rate. So we are talking about 30 to around 50% absorption when consumed with meal. The better option would be triglycerides with a much higher absorption and considered to be a legit choice when choosing the supplements. Absorption being somewhere between 50 and 70%, again, when consumed with meals. And the third one, which is sort of a superior option, is the phospholipids with absorption when consumed with meals around 60 to 80%. And when it comes to phospholipids, according to studies, it's not only about the absorption and bioavailability, but also retention in the body for some time after the consumption. The common factor that would improve absorption of either of the forms is fatty environment. That's why I mentioned consuming with meals. And also another factor that could help is to choose the supplements, which in addition to these essential components we are looking for, would also have free fatty acids in them. That would also create a fatty environment, improving bile production as well as pancreatic lipase hydrolysis. So how much of omega-3 do we actually need and at what ratio? So if we talk about the average population and for the maintenance purposes, FDA doesn't have a specific guideline on the EPA DHA. It only has an indication of ALA. But recommendations for the Americans on dietary consumption for 2020-2025 says that one should consume around 250 milligrams EPA and DHA combined per day. However, there was a study done in US a while ago which showed that the average consumption from the nutrition is only around 86 milligrams per day, indicating a significant deficiency. And for the deficiency purposes, according to the studies, it is recommended to consume somewhere between 1 gram, 1.5 grams of DHA EPA combined for at least 12 weeks in triglyceride form, and at a ratio of around 1:1, again for the maintained balance. Now, if we talk about the cardiovascular health, for the individuals with known cardiovascular problems, around 1,000 milligrams per day of EPA and DHA combined were found to be beneficial. If we talk about individuals who don't have problems but want to actively contribute to maintenance of the healthy cardiovascular system, various health organizations advise of consuming in between 400-600 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined per day. In general, higher doses of EPA and DHA from the clinical practice were shown to have advantages on the cardiovascular and cardiac health in general. Also, when it comes to the ratio, studies show that EPA seem to have a bigger impact than DHA on the cardiovascular system. When it comes to the ratio, around 1 or somewhere a little bit above 1 of EPA versus DHA would be an advantage. When we speak about the brain or cognitive functions, one of the studies showed that at least 1,000 milligrams per day was found to be beneficial for the patients who had mild concerns about their short-term memory. In general, EPA and DHA are of a high interest for the cognitive health, and they are in the multiple ongoing studies, so let's stay tuned for that. But meanwhile, if we talk about the ratio, it differs depending on the age and the specific condition you are trying to tackle. For example, it was found that in younger adults, when we had a ratio of above 1 of EPA versus DHA, was found to be more beneficial. But when we spoke about the older adults, opposite ratio of DHA being in the higher amount was found to be more beneficial. So to summarize, and keeping in mind that in brain, EPA and DHA are in a way fighting for the same binding positions, it is advisable to have a ratio of around 1:1 just to have a beneficial effect of both and not to counteract of beneficial effect of each other. So coming back to the sources, when it comes to bioavailability and absorption from them, like fish oil, krill oil, or algae, differs, and knowing these differences and the specific profiles is critical for making decisions what supplements to buy, as well as optimize nutritional intakes. So if we focus solely on the bioavailability and absorption, the superior choice would be the krill oil, as it is rich in the phospholipid form of the EPA and DHA, but it's more costly. If we talk about the fish oil, it is still a robust and very good choice. The main difference is that the form is mainly in triglycerides. If we talk about algae as a source for the omega-3 fatty acids, it is an option, and it's definitely becoming an interesting option among the people who are trying to avoid animal products. There are a couple of factors we need to account for. One, the formulation might require an additional processing like emulsification to improve its absorption in our bodies. And the second factor is that usually supplements which are derived from algal oil have a much higher content of DHA versus the EPA, something to consider when making a choice. Of course, absorption and bioavailability are not the only factors to be considered when choosing the supplements. A couple other ones you can find in the table and make your own comparison. So let's get a little bit more technical into the details, what I look for on the product labels when I try to choose omega-3 supplements. So the first one and non-negotiable for me is the lab testing, because it would give me the information whether there are any contaminants, how oxidized the formulation is, what is the purity and the actual content of EPA, DHA in the product. The second one, what I would look for is the form that we discussed earlier, whether that's triglyceride, phospholipid, or ethyl ester. The third one would be the GMP certification of the facility that the product is manufactured in, or in general, that it is manufactured according to the GMP. As a minimum, or CGMP, which means current GMP practice, would be ideal. Then I would also look into the formulation and check what are the additional components in it. I would look for the antioxidants because omega-3 supplements are very susceptible to the oxidation. So antioxidants, for example, astaxanthin or tocopherols, are beneficial in this matter. I would also look for the sustainability related certification. There is a list, you can see it on the screen. These are just some examples. There could be the different ones, but that implies that the product is manufactured following the sustainability requirements and consciously sourced from the nature. And of course, price and shelf life. So shelf life is important in terms of how fresh the product is. And the price, of course, it's one of the main factors that I would consider when choosing a supplement. So price versus quality. So based on the criteria we just discussed, I did a bit of research and homework and selected 3 products. One would be, according to me, falling into the premium category. The second one would be more of a balance. And the third one would be economy, depending on how much of those criteria we spoke about they meet. So I also have affiliate links to the sites where you can buy them. I do not promote those companies or those brands. I don't have a direct affiliation with them. But since I did a lot of work, I've decided to get those affiliate links just in case some of you decide to choose those products for your shopping cart, and I would be very happy if you use those. So let's get into the frequently asked questions. The first one being about the refrigeration. So does it help? The short answer is yes and no. So yes, because in theory, omega-3 supplements are highly susceptible to oxidation, and keeping such components in lower temperatures does help, but that also depends on the formulation itself. So for example, if you have a product in the dark bottle, encapsulated with additional antioxidants in, the benefit from refrigeration on the top of that probably would be not that significant. Also, it is important to mention that some products and formulations are highly susceptible to temperature changes. Always please check the packaging and the storage condition recommendation for the particular product you buy before you put them into the extreme temperatures. What are the signs of rindicity? So I think it's one of those that it's quite easy to identify. The product will have a very unpleasant, strong, fishy smell and aftertaste it used, and also a cloudy type of appearance. How to ensure the quality and purity of the omega-3 supplement that you are planning to buy? The definitive answer would be probably lab testing. I understand it might not be feasible to test every single product that a person is trying to buy. I think the majority of the answer would fall into the section that I mentioned about the technical details, like third-party lab testing, GMP, CGMP, additional components, shelf life, and others. So please refer to that for the more extensive answer. What is the best time to take omega-3 supplements? Omega-3 supplements benefit when consumed with high fatty food. So one answer would be to probably consume it with the biggest meal of the day, especially if it has additional fats in it, the good fats in it. Are there any side effects of omega-3 supplements? In general, omega-3 supplements are considered to be safe and very well explored, but sometimes there are gastrointestinal related mild discomforts that occur in people, for example, fishy burps or a little bit of a nausea. There are also some risks potentially associated with omega-3 consumption in cases where people suffer from atrial fibrillation. So such individuals should be conscious, and of course, like all of us, should also discuss it with the healthcare professionals. How to balance omega-6 and omega-3 ratios. So first of all, it's important to mention that a general consensus is that the ratio, which is somewhere in between 1:1 to 4:1, is considered to be healthy of omega-6 versus omega-3. In reality, the Western diet seems to be providing a significantly different ratio of around 15:1 to 20:1 of omega-6 to omega-3. So in order to balance it, of course, there is a need for change in the diet, especially reduction in the omega-6 rich oils, for example, seed oils, addition of the nutritional components rich in omega-3, and also research shows promising results in balancing the ratio when one is consuming omega-3 supplements. What are the effects of combining omega-3 with vitamin E? So I would highlight the four ones that the research talks mostly about. So the first one is the synergic effect on the oxidative stress and inflammation. The second one is general improvement of the lipid profile, especially in people with metabolic syndrome and PCOS. The third one is about reducing triglyceride levels and total cholesterol level in the blood. And the fourth one is about mitigating the hepatotoxicity when consumed the chemotherapeutic agent called doxorubicin. And if we talk about the technical aspects of the supplement and formulation itself, so vitamin B being an antioxidant, it contributes to the formulation stability and resistance against the oxidation. Can omega-3 help with certain conditions like blood triglyceride levels or joint pains or inflammation or others? So definitely there are multiple studies on multiple conditions done. They do show promising results, but that again depends on how much you consume and at what ratios. So it has to be a customized approach, of course, discussed with your healthcare professional. Which omega-3 to choose for the ADHD? So in general, if we talk about the mood-related things, EPA in multiple studies was found to have a more significant impact. If we speak specifically about the ADHD, again, higher levels of EPA was found to be beneficial in alleviating the symptoms, as well as there is quite a lot of supporting research done on EPA being used as a complementary therapy. But again, it has to be discussed and defined specifically to your health condition and to your needs before making such decisions. Does omega-3 increase atrial fibrillation? Yes. The studies do indicate that such risk exists, so please discuss with your healthcare professional. Can people with diabetes take omega-3 supplements? So studies do propose that it could be beneficial for the glycemic control, general improvements in the lipid profile, as well as anti-inflammatory effects. But clinicians should be conscious when considering the dose and have to carefully monitor the potential side effects for people with diabetes on the glucose metabolism. Are there omega-3 supplements safe for people with allergies? So that depends on the particular allergies you have. And if you are allergic to fish or shellfish, maybe algae would be one of the options you could choose, but please discuss with your healthcare professional. Besides that, if you have other kind of specific allergies, always look on the label where there is something written about it. For example, might contain X ingredients or free from certain components. So this is something to consider for the individualized approach. Freshness. What shelf life to look for when buying a supplement? The quick answer is the longer the better, but the minimum that I would look for is at least 6 months, because omega-3 supplements specifically, they are very susceptible to degradation, or other words, oxidation, as well as you have to consider how long it would take for you to consume the full course of the supplements that you are taking. So it doesn't mean that they would necessarily lose their potential or will be completely useless, but as a precaution, as I mentioned, I would not choose anything that's less than 6 months. What are the environmental impacts of omega-3 sourcing? The biggest impact potential is when the products are made from sources like fish or krill, because they are sourced from the environment, while algae being the most environment-friendly option when it comes to sustainability, because it is specifically grown in the particular environment and not sourced out from the nature. Is cod liver oil any good? It has both advantages and disadvantages. So let's start with the positive side of it. In addition to EPA and DHA, it also has additional nutritional value because it contains vitamin A and D, and as well EPA and DHA mostly in triglyceride form, which is the second advantage. If we talk about the negative impacts, the same vitamin A that we just mentioned as an advantage. If you're also consuming other foods which are rich in vitamin A and you're also getting the supplements which are high in vitamin A, it could induce the risk of hypervitaminosis, or in other words, getting too much of it and all the related side effects of it. The second one would be the same allergic potential, like if you would use any other products derived from fish. And the third one being the environmental contaminants, so specifically the risk of heavy metals. So that's it for today. If you have additional comments or questions that you would like to ask about omega-3 supplements, please drop them down in the comments. Other than that, if you like our content, please click share and subscribe. And I'm Roberta from LabelWise. See you next time.